What's up guys, it's Rob, and today we're going to be looking at the Roccat Burst Core. Before I get started, just wanted to let you all know, I added this mouse to my mouse review sheet. Link to that is down in the description. I add every single mouse I review into that sheet, so please go check it out. The Roccat Burst Core is the $30 version of the Roccat Burst Pro. It has some changes to it, and it is pretty cheap at $30. The mouse comes in at 70 grams on my scale. That is, of course, with a bit of cable. So the Burst Core shape is very similar to that of the XM1, Aerox 3, and Rival 3. And of course, it is the exact same shape as the Roccat Burst Pro. It's a little bit wider in the back, just like all of those other mice. But it is a bit bigger than all of those other mice as well. It definitely feels like it fills your hand more compared to holding all those other mice. At my hand size, I am able to palm, claw, and fingertip this mouse very comfortably. I normally claw every single mouse that I use, but it is nice that I am able to have all these other options with this mouse because of its size. And when I claw this mouse, along with every other grip style, it definitely feels like this mouse fills my hand more than the XM1, Rival 3, or Aerox 3. Because like I said before, it is slightly bigger. But yeah, my hand size definitely worked well with this mouse. So yeah, my hand length comes in at 17.5 centimeters long, and the width of my hand is around 9.5 centimeters wide. The coating of this mouse on the top shell is really good. It kind of feels slightly rubbery. I have very sweaty hands, so the coating of a mouse is a pretty big deal for me, and I had no issues with sweat or the mouse getting slippery or anything like that on the top shell. It has some nice grip to it. The only thing I would say, I don't know if this mouse does this with the white version, but on this version, you can definitely see some fingerprint marks on the mouse. This isn't that big of a deal, but it's definitely something to note. Now for the sides of the mouse, the coating is a bit different. So the sides kind of feel like they would be slippery, but they aren't actually slippery. I really didn't have any issues with the coating of the side, but it just feels like it would be slippery. It's really weird. Definitely not the same material as the top shell, but I also didn't really have any slipping issues or any problem with sweat or anything like that. So it was perfectly fine. Now for the cable, unfortunately, we do have a rubber cable on this mouse. And as you can see, it is not very flexible at all. I definitely think that for a rubber cable, this is actually pretty good. This rubber cable is definitely better than the G203 stock cable, but it is not as good as the Rival 3 stock cable. Both of those mice have some rubber cables on them, and I just wanted to use them as a benchmark to compare the flexibility of the rubber cables. So as you can see, this is what the Burst Core rubber cable looks like and its flexibility. Now this is what the G203 rubber cable looks like. As you can see, this is definitely much more stiff and a way worse cable than the Burst Core. And now here we have the Rival 3 rubber cable, which is probably the best rubber cable I have ever used. As you can see, it is pretty flexible. I would definitely rank the Burst Core rubber cable between both of those. And honestly, I would definitely paracord this mouse. I do not like stiff cables at all, especially rubber cables. And if you do end up buying this mouse, I would definitely recommend paracording it as well. I did use a bungee, but I could still feel the cable dragging, and it was pretty stiff, so yep. Now, the mouse feet are pretty bad as well. The Burst Pro, the $60 version of this mouse, comes with an extra set of mouse feet with the mouse. The Burst Core, this mouse, does not come with an extra set of mouse feet, which I think is actually a good thing because the Burst Pro has different mouse feet that are way better than these mouse feet, and I would definitely recommend replacing these mouse feet because these are very scratchy and do not offer all that much glide to the mouse. It does not feel very smooth when moving the mouse on the mouse pad. And yeah, the mouse feet are pretty bad because of that. Mouse 1 and mouse 2 clicks of the mouse feel pretty good. Mouse 2 kind of actually feels lighter to click than mouse 1, but they both feel like they require average actuation force to press down on. But I did not have any issues with mouse 1 and mouse 2. They do not feel bad at all, and I had no side play issues or anything like that with them, so that is a plus. But yeah, the only issue I can really think of when it comes to mouse 1 and mouse 2 would be that mouse 2 definitely does feel just a tad bit lighter to press down on than mouse 1. But this really wasn't a big deal for me when using this mouse. Now, the side buttons are pretty good. They are pretty big as well, which I kind of liked. I do use side buttons all the time, and these side buttons are pretty solid. I can't really complain, can't really find anything wrong with them really. They have a nice click to them, and yeah, they just feel pretty good and are very solid. I would just keep in mind that the side buttons are pretty big. This could potentially be an issue for someone who has bigger hands or big thumbs. Depending on how you grip the mouse, you never know, so just be aware of that. The scroll wheel is pretty good. It feels good when scrolling down and scrolling up on the scroll wheel. Middle mouse button feels good to press down on. When scrolling up and down, the scroll wheel does feel a little light, but I really had no issues with it. And yeah, it just seems like a pretty solid scroll wheel. If you do end up buying this mouse for $30, you are getting a very solid mouse. It is extremely solid and has a very high quality feel to it. There was only just a tad bit of flex on the bottom of the mouse, but obviously it is nothing major and it is on the bottom of the mouse, so it really isn't that much of a big deal. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this mouse for sure. For $30, you are getting an extremely solid mouse. All you would really need to do is replace the mouse feet and the cable, and you will be good to go. If you don't mind the rubber cable, I guess you don't really have to replace it, but I think the mouse feet definitely need to be replaced. These mouse skates are pretty bad. Also, the sensor of this mouse is different compared to that of the Burst Pro, but honestly, when using both mice, I did not notice any difference when it came to the sensor. And yeah, it is definitely hard to believe that this mouse is $30. You're getting a very solid mouse for that price point. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.